Hello and welcome to another episode of Intune.training, the place to learn how to use Microsoft Intune and other things, apparently.
Associated technologies, I believe the term is, Adam.
If it's in the cloud, we might talk about it.
Potentially.
So, yeah.
You know what I'm excited about, Adam?
I'm excited about season...
The third video in a row that's the two of us.
Just the two. But it's also the
had
fourth
guest as well.
season.
Oh, yeah, it is too. Wow.
It kind of came and went. We've been busy and totally missed it. So happy birthday to us.
Woo.
Welcome to season 4, episode whatever this one's going to be already. All right, let's get to it, Steve. What are we talking about today? I'm excited. This is so cool.
So we're talking about a fun product that is called Hybrid Cloud Trust. Yes.
Steve, wait. The last time we did a trust
something. We're talking hybrid.
It was like 6 hours of stuff and we couldn't get it. Please don't do this to me.
And then we did a high level one that we didn't actually do anything technical.
Yeah, and but it was still all really long and complicated.
Yep. No, Cloud Trust is a little bit easier. Touch, because guess what? Worry about certificates.
Yes. You don't have to worry about certs. You don't have to worry about sync either.
Fact means is you don't have to worry about Hello for Business Hybrid Key Trust taking up to 20 minutes to synchronize your credentials down so you can use them, and your end user's not yelling and screaming at you going, "But it's not working!" But it is. It's just a little bit longer than expected.
So before we dive in on this, I'd like to go down that avenue for a moment to talk about what we've been living in up to this point to show the significant changes of this.
So the journey we've taken to get here.
Yeah, I mean the key bit is so we're talking about how to enable the ability to access on-prem resources while still using modern next-gen credentials like your Hello for Business credentials. So being able to use face, fingerprint, PIN, FIDO key, etc., smart card, all those things, next-gen credentials, cloud credentials.
Yes.
Getting those access to on-prem. So that's what this discussion is around. And this is
when AAD joined computers.
Yes. Azure AD only, not hybrid. If you're hybrid joined, we're not talking about that anyway.
We're not talking hybrid except in this circumstance.
Because hybrid can do it anyway. But yeah, so this is for Azure AD only machines and getting them access to on-prem resources like file shares and things.
Yep.
And
want to be really, really clear there. It's not around the device having access to the file shares. It's about the user object having access to the file share.
Yes. Because the device
very, very
won't have access as an Azure AD only machine if you've configured your file shares in a secure manner.
Don't use everyone.
Yeah, that's probably a good move. Okay, so then the other thing here is really just so that's what we're talking about. And so there's the certificate hybrid, the certificate trust, and then the I don't even know what the other ones are called anymore because we moved to the cloud. Hybrid key trust. So we did a video around hybrid key trust, and then it was hybrid cert trust, and we never covered certs because we said hybrid's easier or
key trust is easier.
Key trust is easier. Don't
with a big asterisk unless it's Intune training, and then it's really not.
Right, because we really borked that one up. We've gotten way better at it now, and now we're going to completely discard that skill set because Cloud Trust is here.
But you know what? We learned certificates by doing that.
Yeah, we did. I'm not mad about it.
I'm not mad
and we also really learned Hello and next-gen credentials and all of these things. Since that, we're rolling out Hello for Business in my company. We just went through an internal audit review of our config, and yes, we're doing it, and it's awesome. So from that perspective, it's been great. But we're moving forward with Cloud Trust, not why is that? Why I keep blanking? Key Trust. Wow, it will not stick in my brain. So the biggest drawbacks that we've had with so as we were rolling out doing autopilot just a couple of months ago, right before Cloud Trust came out, the biggest complaint that we found was that we're still in this weird transition of we're still use Exchange on-prem. So we'd autopilot a machine. I know it's happening. We've had complications. So we're autopiloting machines. They're going Azure AD only. We have always on VPN, so it has to get certs on there for that to work, and that kicks in. So then when that finally kicks in, you're at a desktop. We get you to the desktop, great, and it asks you, the first thing it does, it says, hey, set up hello, set up your face, set up your pin, and then you're at a desktop. And what do people do? Before I've stood by a number of users at this point during our pilot of watching them. Immediately they open Outlook. Very first thing they do, they don't even click around and see, oh, this is Windows 11. Nothing. They just go to Outlook. And what we found was because Exchange requires legacy off.
Cumulative updates to be applied. Then you need to enable modern authentication on Skype for Business and Exchange to make it work. And it's a huge matrix.
And we don't have modern auth enabled in Exchange. So you try to launch Outlook and it would fail. And it would say, it would just keep prompting users and they just keep putting their PIN in and it would keep failing. So the trick is, you need to enter your password or just lock and unlock with your password and then relaunch Outlook and it would work. Because we would be in this sync window between Azure AD Connect synchronizing the next gen credential. Ours is set to 30 minutes. That's the default for Azure AD Connect. So when you set up your hello credential, it needs to sync to Azure, sync back down from Azure down to AD. So AD trusts your modern credential on-prem and you can get a token.
Correct.
So then you're waiting for that sync to happen, and it could be up to 30 minutes from the time the user got to the desktop.
Let's be honest, it could be up to an hour for most organizations.
Yeah, if they've bumped that window out for Azure AD Connect and all that stuff as well. And that's not obvious to a user at all. Nope. And so they're sitting in this state where it's like, well, I can't get to on-prem things, and it's not obvious. I need to log back in with my password.
This system's broken.
Yeah. So that was the experience that we were having, and we were just going to deal with it. It's like, this is as good as it gets. Sorry, there's not really a great way around this. And then all of a sudden, Steve Seifus, I hope that's how you say your last name, Steve. He writes, I don't know what he makes. He's a developer at Microsoft that apparently knows all things authentication. If you're not following him on Twitter, go. He's got some amazing stuff. So he's posts this thing about, hey, check this new stuff that we did.
Yep.
Hybrid Cloud Trust, phenomenal.
Yep.
It's instant. It just works, or near instant. Anyway, so that's that's what we were doing, and then
seamless for end user. I believe the term you're looking for.
Yes. And so anyway, that's what we're going to talk about today is how we can move away from, or if it's your first time doing this, just jump straight to hybrid cloud trust, ignore the key trust and cert trust stuff, and show how this can make your life so much better really quickly.
Yep.
So take it away, Steve.
All right. So I'm going to start off really simply, and we're going to pop up our... I'm going to start sharing my screen. Yay, I picked the right button this time. And this is the docs that we're using, which is the Hybrid Key Trust docs. Links down below. Feel free to go and hit that as needed. What this is where we're explaining the concepts of how that technology works and how to set that up. So pretty straightforward. What I have sitting here is my lab. Two things that I'll call out before we start diving into the demo. And it's a little bit further down the screen, but we call out here two things that are super important, and I hit the wrong button, which is you need to have a fully patched version of Windows 10 21H2 or a fully patched version of Windows 11. What we mean by that, or what is meant by that, is that it needs to be at least the March 2022 update installed on that computer and on the DOS, because that includes the cumulative updates that are required to do this task. And it's the enablement of. So That's easy. We already have MFA set up. Technically, yes, you can use ADFS or any comparable solution that provides a strong authentication claim. And then the last part is how we're going to put the policy out, and we need to put a PowerShell script in there. Easy, right? So let's jump over to our server. What we have here, that's my PC.
Hang on, Steve, before you jump there. So there's a couple of things that we really stumbled on around this. So you look through this, and then as you scroll down in this doc, it at the very top and then lower down here, it links out to the how to set up the enable passwordless security key sign in to on-premises resources. So they basically, instead of rewriting the instructions, they're just directing you here to go do this thing. Okay.
Yep.
So the way that I read this and the way we kind of got stuck in this, and it was very confusing, was that it felt like we needed to enable passwordless sign-in for users in order for hybrid cloud trust to work. And that is not true at all. All they were trying to do is point you to this section of the documentation on how to configure this, which is what Steve's going to walk through. And so don't get hung up there like we did, because a couple of us on the When Admins Discord were looking through this, and then we were looking at this internally, and it was very confusing. It wasn't clicking. And then Steve on Twitter responded to us on a thread at some point, and he's like, "No, you don't need this. That's no."
Yep.
So don't get caught up on that piece of it. This is what you need.
Yeah, which is the Kerberos server. It's all you need, because what's happening is it's creating a Kerberos server in Azure for you that you don't have visibility of. You don't need to have visibility of. It does what you need it to do, and we get there. So what I'm going to quickly do is I'm going to log onto my domain controller to show you what we have. As you can see, we have it nice and simple. If we go here and we go to our AAD or AD console, we go to Active Directory users and computers, because that's where we love it, and it's nice and easy to see. And we go to domain controllers, and we've got our DC01. Literally, that's the only computer that exists in this environment. What we also then have is our cloud users with the very inventive name of Cloud Trust that is being synchronized up. I've been very deliberate in that we're only syncing that cloud users OU up in, because we actually have two AAD Connect environments and Intune training tenant, because we have chaos, as Ben would say. We love it. So this is where we're sitting here and going, all right, we're being very deliberate on the accounts that we're syncing, so we don't have a collision when it goes up into our tenant. On the server side, on the Intune training side, on the Intune side, let me just bring that up. If we go aka.ms/memac, we're going to see in here, and I'll think for a sec, and we're going to go into this one here, and I should have already authenticated, but that's okay. And we're going to bring up the Intune tenant, and it's set up to have Hello for Business enabled on the environment by default. So if I go here, and I believe under Enroll Devices, we have Hello for Business turned on to enabled. No, it's not configured. We have that then set up over here. Oh no, the default is that it is not configured, which is it's going to turn it on when you go through the out-of-box experience. So if I go over here to my PC, you can see that I've already signed in with Cloud Trust. It's a registered device. And I'm just going to put in my PIN. And to demonstrate the pain point that we're looking to remediate is this part here. I'm just going to go run, and I'm going to go DC01/data, which is a share that I've created on this device. So if I go here just to prove that it's there, we have data. We go to properties, and under sharing, it is shared as data. And under advanced sharing, we can look at the permissions associated, which is not what I was expecting, but it's basically we've given everyone access. This message here, you'll see that from time to time with AAD joined devices. It's not a major concern, and I wouldn't stress about it. But what you can see here is I can't authenticate with my PIN. So if I go and put my PIN in, it's going to automatically go through and say, nah, yeah, I don't have access. Not allowed to continue on. If I go and sign on with my username and password, will it work? Yes. And that's where it is using different credential blobs during the different scenarios. So the next step that we need to go through now that we've gone through and talked through what our environment's going to look like is we need to, on here, we've gone and installed this module, which is the Azure AD Hybrid Authentication Management.
So I'd like to point out a piece there. You don't, or actually, if you scroll down in that purple box, it already says it.
Yep.
All right. So if you've already got, okay, it's not there. So if you're using Azure AD Connect, the server already has this module as part of it. So if you're running this command on your server that's running Azure AD Connect, you don't have to do that step.
Correct. The link for everyone is going to pop up. This is where you're going to get that module from, being the PowerShell gallery. So it's linked across. So I've imported that already because I know it takes a little bit of time to install. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to import dash module Azure AD hybrid, just so we have it loaded into memory. So the next step we're going to bring up, let me bring this over here to make sure that we do the right thing, is we need to get the credentials of the domain and the environment that we're going to be using. This is so we have the ability to run the script. So I'm going to quickly go here and do DC cred equals get dash credential. And technically you don't need to do this. It's just makes your life easier when the prompt pops up, because you're going to be prompted for 2 credentials when you run the set Azure AD Kerberos Server configuration. And that's not very logical if it doesn't tell you which one it needs to be. So cloud cred equals get dash credential. And I'm just going to quickly sign in with my global admin account. I believe you need to use global admin to do this. I've not looked into the minimum requirements for it, but my understanding is global admin is required because it is a tenant level configuration.
And it's also worth noting the on-prem account needs to be a domain admin, not a schema admin.
Yep.
Because they are different.
Yes, it is. Yes, schema allows you to modify the AD schema. Domain admin gives you full access to all objects.
And I want to even say like enterprise admin, or is that it? That's right. I think that maybe that's the one we were trying with, and that one wasn't working either. It was specifically domain admin needed to be
correct, because enterprise admin allows you to manage at the forest level, not at the domain level.
And while we're looking at it, a big thing that nailed us too was you have to run this, and it was written in the docs, so just missed it. You have to do these steps for every domain in your environment that you expect to use, that you expect to need this. So we did it at the top level, and it was weird, and it was intermittent and things, and it was like it seemed like it was working, but then it wasn't. And then after a couple passes through, we reread the docs and said, "Oh, we're idiots." So do it for all your domains. So
what we're doing now is we're just going through and running that command, which is the set Azure AD Kerberos Server, and it's going and configuring it in our environment. And it's like, all right, well, that's great, but how do we verify it? Well, that's easy. We just hit out.
It's just there.
Get
done.
And we can see all of the information about it. So we can actually see the Kerberos Cloud token associated with it. If we go back into our domain controllers, what should appear here eventually is our Azure AD Kerberos Server. One thing I am going to stress, do not, under any circumstance, rename this object.
Don't touch it.
Don't touch it. You don't screw with it. You don't need to do anything with it. As soon as you start playing with it, you're going to cause problems. It doesn't look pretty. I understand that. Make sure you include it into any of your reporting and things like that, so somebody doesn't go, I have a rogue domain controller, I need to do something with it, I need to put AV on it or whatever. You don't have permission to sign into this device.
It's not a thing.
Doesn't exist.
I will also tell you, it does survive a restore from the recycle bin.
I wonder how you found that one out, Adam.
Yeah.
So that seems pretty straightforward, and it's done, right? Well, almost.
I'm looking at the clock, Steve, and we're 20 minutes in. We're
20 minutes in. We still have 10 hours to cover. I know.
Surely there's more. Surely there's more, right?
Yes, but it's not as hard as you'd think. So now what we're going to do is we need to enable Hello for Business Cloud Trust. So I'm just quickly confirming the configuration that is required. So this is probably the only thing that I'm a little unhappy about is, and I'll copy this and I'll just put it into the banner here so you can see a direct
link. You don't need to do that. Don't do that. It's in the settings catalog.
Okay. Is it now?
Oh, gosh, if it's not, maybe I'm really, really wrong.
I'll double check because
it's been a minute. Sorry, maybe I'm wrong.
That's okay. I'd prefer it to be in settings catalog. So let's go to configuration profiles. And
I didn't know I have it broken out in a separate policy, so maybe I'm missing.
So if we go Windows 10, settings catalog, create. I know it was planned to be in there, so enable loud trust. And then we're going to go next, and we're going to add setting, and I'm going to zoom that in a little bit, and we're going to search for Cloud Trust.
Yeah, sorry, led you astray.
All good, Adam. And we'll just quickly double check. Yeah, so it should be use Cloud Trust, not a problem. So we're just going to go here, and we're going to cancel. We're going to create a profile. We're going to go here. We're going to Windows 10. I do know that it is in the pipeline to add that as a setting, but it'll get there. So enable our trust, and we're going to go next, and we're going to go add. And then we're going to go, because we're working on easy stuff, we're going to go here and we're going to copy this. We're going to go open up Notepad, because what you'll note here is we have tenant ID. Tenant ID needs to be replaced with your tenant ID. Go figure. Yeah.
And by the way, I just confirmed, yes, in my production environment, it is using the CSP. So, yeah.
I'm just going to quickly reopen up the Intune portal so I can grab the tenant ID. Just bear with me. And we're going to go grab tenant admin. And I can never remember where this is located. Do you remember where it's located, Adam?
What? Don't just go. I go to Azure.
Okay. Let me go to Azure.
I don't know. That's the easy one for me.
Portal.azure. I always forget where it is in the MeMac portal. I do know it is in there somewhere, but I don't navigate it enough as much as I used to.
Yeah, same.
It's just loading and signing into the Azure portal for me. Just bear with me.
Where is it? Now I'm looking. I'm going to find it.
Wow, it's a little slow going into Azure right now for me, but again, bear with me. What? Yeah, I just had a weird error message, but now I've authenticated. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Azure Active Directory, and then it's this tenant ID here that we're grabbing, and we're going to go over to our Notepad file, and we're going to paste that, and we're going to copy that, and we go back here to add row. In our OMI URI, we're pasting that in there, and we're going to call this the Enable Cloud Trust. Keep putting the Y there for trusty. And then this is Boolean, and we're just going to set this to true. And that's it. So we enable that, we hit next. Realistically, this should be going to devices. I don't have this device in a group, so I'm going to target all devices. Why this should go to all devices, and just want to stress this. See here where it says device, that means there's device policy. So it will be processed as the device when the device starts up and syncs its policy, not when the user signs in. So that's an important one to keep on top of. So we've done the wrong thing. Don't use all devices, but it's a lab-ish. And then we're going to go and create that. And that's done. That's applied the policy. Well, it's policy is available.
Yeah.
So let's go over to our PC, and we're going to open up Company Portal, and then we can right-click on it in a second once it's authenticated for this first time and do sync profile. So we're syncing that. And while that's going through, let's look on the back end, and we're going to go to Windows or Windows devices, and we're going to look for cloud. And here's our device here, which is desktop 463 D1S8, and it's signed in by Cloud Trust. So we're going to go and quickly look at our policy application. So under device configuration, we will see here eventually, it's still not come through, that it's going to have that setting in there for us. So we're just going to go and hit sync on that for us. And then we're going to go device configuration. And what we'll do is we'll also go and have a look at the event log, because we're nerds and we like looking at things actually happening on the computer. So if we go application, just going to bring this here a little bit. It's just loading under Microsoft, under Windows. And then what we do is we scroll down here until we see the longest one, which is Device Management Enterprise Diagnostics Provider. We go to Admin. And what we should be able to look here, yes, it should be a bit longer. That's okay. If we do Find, then we're going to do Cloud Trust. And Find next. Right, so it's not there yet. So it's still processing it. So let's go and hit sync again.
I can't believe this, Steve. In less than 30 minutes, start to finish.
Yep.
And that was with a bunch of babbling in the beginning. Like,
yes. Wow. We can't call it done yet, Adam. We can't. We could try, but
we're chugging along. I mean, I know we got to prove it and everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Because nobody trusts us that we're going to make it work the first time, because
we're going to have to start over, and you have to refresh that before that'll work.
I have refreshed. There was no exclamation mark there.
Did you hit sync?
Yes.
Sync again.
I've been smashing the sync button.
All right.
Still hasn't applied the policy. Let's go and make sure that policy is there, and we'll have a look at it. It was enable Cloud Trust, and
it's
all
there.
Devices. Yeah, it's there. Show the device assignment status. getting there. It's slow.
We could probably have like several hour-long video of just us all the times where we've sat here waiting for policies to come down as far
Oh
as
yes.
channel.
Oh yes. Oh yes. So we'll just do a sync again. We'll do F5. F5. Find next. Nope.
There we go.
Ooh. We did. Fine. It's applying the policy, but it's downloading policies, but it's not finding the policy that needs to be applied.
It's not there yet. Hit refresh again. It's probably pretty close.
Find next. Cancel. This is the part that's going to take us the longest.
My demo went better.
It did.
Sync went faster.
All right, what we're going to do, because this also helps with that sync process, is we're just going to give it a restart.
That absolutely helps.
Yep. We have the ability to restart without causing impact to end user, because I'm end user. And I approve this message. As you notice, it actually started pretty quickly. We have a decent lab here today.
Yeah, finally running it on decent hardware over there.
I've always had decent hardware.
No, I mean compared to what I always run on. I don't know what's going on here.
Well, yes.
Got a hunk of junk, man.
You do.
It was nice at one point, but it's never.
Yeah.
It's never, or it had potential to be nice. It's never been nice. Been very disappointed.
Exceedingly happy with my shiny laptop. The fact that I can give this VM 20 gig of RAM and 4 CPU without it, it's quite nice.
Well, I'll be honest with you, Steve. We'll see this in the recording, but man, your audio is glitching as you're scrolling. So maybe you
interesting.
So perhaps
no.
you're over provisioned just a wee bit.
I don't think so. All right, that's still not synced. Sync this device. Let's go here. Device configuration. Something not quite working as expected, eh?
Story of our lives.
Yep. It's taking a little longer. Hopefully it means it's doing something. Fine. You're tired then, mate. Been a long day.
Oh, I'm used to staying up this late. Yes. Tired.
Wow.
This is not uncommon, it seems, for our VMs and our tenant.
Yeah.
I think we run into this generally quite a lot, actually.
Yep.
So I'm spinning up my VM and I'm gonna sync it.
Enable Cloud Trust. It's saying that it's successfully applied it.
Woo! Got something.
So let's go and have a look. Find next. I don't know why it's not popping up in the logs.
So you could go and check it in the hello logs,
registry.
though. No, go in the hello
yes.
logs. I mean, you can also verify that you got the policy in the registry, sure. But
Yep.
the hello logs are really what's going to tell us what's going on.
So do you want to navigate us there?
The ones that say hello on it somewhere. It's going to be hello. Hello. It's going to start with hello.
Hello, hello.
Hello for business.
Hello for business. Operational.
So No. Go down to the one that has the block of all the things. Go get off the details. Go back to general.
General. Yep.
Yeah. There you go. Look at that. Policy is disabled for user into Cloud Trust. Oh, never mind. Your username is called Cloud Trust. That's kind of fun.
You're welcome.
It's either this one or it's the other one. The provisioning.
Yep.
I don't know. It's in the logs.
I know
it's
the
in
one
the
you're
docs.
looking for.
It's in the docs. You know what I'm talking about.
Yep. So what we're looking for here is it should tell us this bit here: on-premises authentication configuration. Cloud TGT. So
there it is. And you can also use the DS reg command status as well.
Correct. So let's go and do DS reg command.
Go.
Make sure you run a standard user, non-admin, because if you run as admin, it brings
the log we're looking for, Steve. The log we're looking for
cmd/state
is the if you look under this link that I just posted. This is what we're looking for. So it's user device registration is the event log that we want.
Cool.
Not the hello one. I mean, that's a good one too, but user device registration.
Device registration admin.
There you go.
There it is.
So according to the logs, or according to the docs, they tell you what to look for on those last the two three from the bottom. So Cloud Trust and then user account. Okay, so the user account has Cloud TGT. There's a note in the docs around that one. So the other one, Cloud Trust, is good. The second one, it says not tested. That's normal for Azure AD joined machines or something along.
Okay, so I should be able to just go Windows R and go //DC01/data. That should work, right?
Yeah. Okay, so the note from the log or from the doc says this check has 3 states: yes, no, and not tested. The not tested state is reported if Cloud Trust is not being enforced by policy or if the device is Azure AD joined. So that's normal for that one to always say not tested.
So it's still not working. The reason why it's not working is because we've previously signed into this device as a Hello for Business without Cloud Trust enabled. We actually need to reset the the Hello for Business configuration.
No. I think you just reboot.
All right, let's give it a reboot and see if it works.
We did not have to do that, and things just worked.
Okay, and you already had Hello set up. I know in certain scenarios, definitely if you've got Key Trust enabled, you do need to do some things on it.
Yeah, in fact, on ours, we had Key Trust enabled. We switched over to Cloud Trust, and we just simply turned off the Key Trust policy.
Yep.
And flipped on Cloud Trust, and it just worked.
Right. Cool.
At least
I'm excited.
With our experience, I would hope that other people had the same thing. I may be just completely off base.
Data.
One question is: are you actually talking to this domain controller?
Yes.
Are they on the same network?
Yes, because it was prompting for credentials.
Fair enough.
It's all good, Jim. It's all good.
So the other stuff is to use the. That's not good.
Nope.
So it didn't work. It did not work.
Unspecified error. Yep. So.
So you can. All right. So there's a couple things that I would do to troubleshoot to find out if you're getting a next gen credential, and that is looking so you can look in Graph on the Azure AD object for the user, and you can see the next gen credentials there, or you can look in what is it, LDP? Is that the tool on the domain controller that will let you see the on-prem next-gen credentials on the objects as well. We might not have to go that far yet.
The other option we can do is this, which is if we go here, go to PowerShell, and if we do cert util minus delete hello container. And what that's going to do is it resets the Hello for Business container. And then what we need to do is log off. And when we log back in, it'll force us to re-authenticate and set up Hello for Business. So you'll see here it's now password. And the thing is, you shouldn't need to do this everywhere. This should just be to force it to go back through that Hello for Business verification.
I'm just realizing you're running this on Windows 10 VM. What in the world?
I am. Is that a problem?
Just observation.
It's because I didn't have the Windows 11 media handy.
Makes sense.
Yes. All right. So now if we go //
Now, hang on, Steve. So I wouldn't necessarily trust this as a good test because you typed in your password first and then set up your PIN.
Yep. So that worked. So now let's do a restart. And
just to make sure we don't have the ticket.
Yep.
We were so close 20 minutes ago.
Yeah. 10. So now we've got our PIN. And we're just going to sign in. And we're going to go here. And we're going to go DC01 data again. And no credential prompt.
All right. So killing that cert was a good move.
So what I'm going to quickly do is util -delete.
Are you doing that? Where are you doing that? We can't see your screen.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. I was like, what are you doing? Steve, you're about to break your computer. What are you doing?
Yes, I am.
You're in the wrong box.
Yep. So we're just popping that up there to remind people to see what it is. But that's the command that I ran that allowed us to drop the Hello for Business container and then start it again. Force that re-registration. So if you're in a situation where you were like me, where Hello for Business has already been configured for your end users and you need to go across into CloudTrust, you just send this command out and it'll force them over. Make sure that the CloudTrust policy has applied to their computer before you do that. Otherwise, they're going to have to register again. Only caveat.
Very cool.
How good is that, Adam? We got it done in less than 40 minutes.
I feel like we should just keep talking about other stuff.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't know what we're going to talk about though.
Well, so there's a chance that people that are watching this may have not sat through the first hour and a half video that we did on hybrid key trust. Perhaps
I hope they haven't.
Perhaps showing the graph calls to show how these credentials get attached to our user device, our user objects and stuff would be useful.
Yep.
So at this point, you're set up, and if you've seen this part, carry on. But if you're interested and want to know more, we're going to kind of dig in a little bit more onto the back end pieces here.
So what I'm doing off screen to save the fact that we need to clean up the content is I'm just signing into the graph tenant for Intune training because I have random credential pops. So what you'll see here is I've got that. I'm just going to quickly change this theme back to light so it's nice and easy on everybody's eyes. And then we're going to go here. We're going to go users. Wow. Users /cloud.trust@intune.training.
I love that this is one of the things you can do in Graph where you don't need to find an ID first or search for it. You can just put the UPN in and it's wonderful.
Oh, it's so good. I love the fact that I can change it from V1 to beta without having to retype everything as well.
Also, the history over there is really nice if you do wipe it out.
Oh, yeah.
I use that one regularly. Oh, that worked before. Let me go back to what was working.
Yep. So what you'll see here is you'll see all of our licensing, and then we have device keys. And this is our next-gen credential object that exists in AAD. That is what is the Hello for Business authentication object. In KeyTrust, that gets replicated back to on-prem using AAD Connect into the MS Key credential link object of the user. In CloudTrust, that doesn't occur. So I can't show you that in action. But
good to know. I hadn't even... Yeah, now that you mention it, it makes tons of sense because this is supposed to be faster and better. So I wasn't even thinking about that. So if you were to take this device ID and you were to go to /devices, devices and paste that in, you should be able to tie this into a machine. So then you could potentially write some reporting, some basic reporting that shows a mapping between next-gen credentials on which devices the user might be using those on, and that sort of
devices, thing. No, not devices.
I don't think so. It just might be the wrong ID. Because it could be the object ID versus the Azure AD device ID. Maybe. So what machine, do you have a machine name that you're on? Nothing, huh? I wonder what that maps to. Apparently nothing.
Of course, there's an object. Oh, yeah.
It's got to be somewhere.
Yep. I would hope. All right. I believe. Let's go back here. 404 not found was the error. Maybe it's managed devices.
You think it could be an Intune object instead?
Yeah.
I'm navigating in the UI on the back end here to see if I can find it. What's the okay? Yeah. So it's right. That's the Azure AD device ID. It's 4D, right? It starts 4D.
Yes, 4D35.
Okay, so to get it from devices, you're going to have to do the filter Azure AD device ID equals, because it's not the object ID, it's the Azure AD device ID. So it's the other
filter Azure ID.
It's Azure AD device ID.
Or
there's a short version of it as well. Sorry, it's got two versions of that. That won't work. Not even close, but good try. It's going to be an Azure AD device ID space EQ space and single quotes around the ID.
You can see how often I've been using this.
Yeah, and it's probably going to nail you on the case sensitivity on that. So the first word will be lowercase. You can go there and go, do that.
I don't see Azure AD.
Are you on the Intune device or the?
No, I was just looking at the.
No, that's where you want to be. Go try again.
So it should be ID, right? ID should.
No, that's the one that we don't have. We have the other one.
So this is devices, which is the AAD object, not the Intune object.
Oh, so the property is a different name.
This ID should be.
You're right.
What I'm
scroll down. Scroll down. Do device ID instead. See how it's different?
Yes. Still a filter, isn't it?
Question dollar filter.
Filter. EQ.
You got one too many dollars. That should do it. There you go.
We go.
So this is another one of those fun things where the ID and the device ID are different. So like think of the ID as being the primary key record versus the device ID being the Azure unique identifier. Just
Foreign key
and you go into Intune. Then you go into Intune and there's a different ID, and then you go into Autopilot. It's a different ID. So yes.
Yep.
Anyway, point being, look, it matched up.
It all ties back.
Yeah.
So I think that's it, Adam.
I think so too. I think it's pretty cool.
Go team. Under an hour.
Hopefully you guys can, and this is, now all you got to do is convince your server and networking folks that you don't need certs for other on-prem things like Wi-Fi and VPN.
Good luck.
And then you can knock out the all of these other things and get less and less dependent on-prem.
Yes,
I think it's a really cool one.
I think so too.
Awesome. Oh, sorry, Steve. There is one more thing worth showing. Go back into go reshare your VM, please.
Yes.
And then let's bounce your VM.
And we go to my VM, which is this one. Yep. My client VM, I'm assuming. Yep.
Yeah. So restart it.
Restart. It's restarting. And we're just going to, right, so that sign in page.
So sign in.
With PIN or password? PIN.
PIN is PIN. Yep.
Yep, done.
All right. And then I want you to open up a command prompt as admin. Actually, it probably doesn't. I don't think it needs to be admin. It doesn't matter.
Standard user. Yep.
And we want to do a K-list. And I think we're going to do K-list space tickets, I think.
Yep, case ticket. And you can see that it's the Kerb TGT.
Okay, so now go hit your domain controller. I wasn't actually honestly expecting this. I was expecting to have no tickets after the restart. Let's see. There we go.
And we have more tickets.
There you go. So that's yet another way you can kind of confirm whether this is working or not. You can do a K-list purge to clear your tickets and then go hit that resource again and you'll get tickets again. I think that works.
Yep. And we're just going to do a quick refresh or enter. And then we should be able to go tickets. Nope. Let's close that. And then we go tickets. No, because the token's already set.
Well, so we did something wrong there.
If we restart, somehow it'll come up.
Yeah. But regardless, you kind of get the idea here. So there's just additional ways that you can kind of verify what's going on and do some troubleshooting and around this. So hopefully those are good starting points for you as you troubleshoot and want to dig in further with this. But honestly, hopefully you don't have a lot of troubleshooting to do. I have found that this is by far the simplest way to get access to on-prem resources at this point.
I'd agree.
On Azure AD only machine with next gen credentials, because that's really what we're talking about. So awesome. Well done, Steve.
Yay. Go team.
Would you believe Steve set this lab up like earlier today while playing Call of Duty and doing another video? Like amazing. Well done, Steve.
Yay.
It still took less time than the full key trust stuff. All right. Well, thanks for sticking around. See you around.
Thanks, everyone. See you soon.